Hey, how you doing today? I am Prophetess Tequila best-selling author, God-ordained marriage coach, and founder of God-ordainedmarriage.com. I wanted to jump on here real quick and talk to you today about when God moves you. We had started talking about this last night during our live session, and I want to finish this conversation, okay? But before we do, come on in, come on in. Let me know if you all can hear me. I know you can't see me, but let me know if you can hear me, if the sound is okay. Also, if this is your first time catching me live, welcome. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and also like the live video, everyone, and share the video out. I do want to remind everyone, because I was in session earlier and it came up in my one-on-one session. For those of you who want to be a part of our God Ordained Marriage Academy, let me remind you that it is still open, okay, and available for those of you who want to enroll into our God Ordained Marriage Academy. Um, about 2 months ago or 3 months ago, the Lord, he called me away from the academy. Okay. And so when he called me away from it, that means I'm no longer teaching in it. I used to do weekly teaching. We used to have our weekly Q&A sessions in there, but I'm no longer teaching, but the academy is self-paced. So, and the academy has went from $97 to $27 per month. Okay. So it's very affordable. It has tons of teachings back there, in the members area that will help you on your God ordained marriage journey. Okay. So I just wanted to let everyone know, just because I'm no longer teaching in the academy, that don't mean you can't access it. You can. Okay. You can go through the material at your own pace. We have prayer point PDF back there. We got everything back there. Okay. Have a lot of videos back there. Okay. Um, and to sign up, you want to head over to godordainedmarriages.com/academy. Let me get the link for you. So that is the link to join the academy. Go to godordainedmarriages.com/academy, and you can sign up and start watching the videos. Okay. We got modules on everything, modules on prayer, fasting, destiny transfer attempt, modules on like how to prepare for your beauty treatments and stuff, modules on marriage and money. We got modules on everything in there, healing from rejection, modules that's talking about prodigals. Many of you have been asking me about that second death that happens in stage 8. That teaching is inside of the academy. Okay. It's inside of the academy. All right. So you can find that there. All right. Okay, thank you, Tiffany, for letting me know you can hear me. You say blinders being removed from my eyes, but praise the Lord. I have to sign up because I felt led to find you, and this has been very helpful with my journey. Yes, and I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of information back there in the academy that will help you all. I put some prophetic words in that in the academy as well. It's a lot of stuff back there. It's a lot of material that will help give you clarity, understanding, and also assist you in your own personal development process as well. Okay, so let's talk about this because I ain't gonna be on here long. When God moves you. So yesterday when I was live, we were talking a little bit about the move, right? So I'm coming back here today because I need you to understand this move is not just a physical relocation. Okay, I need you to understand there are several different ways how God will move you. Okay, so let's talk about it. We're going to take a look at the definition for the word move. So here's some definitions for the word move. Move means change position, so put that in the chat. Change position. Okay, change position. The second meaning for move means make progress or develop in a particular manner or direction. Okay, so we have change position, and then we have make progress or develop in a particular manner or direction. Okay, so this type of move is where God is developing you. Okay, you are making progress in your life. That is movement. Okay. Another definition for move means a change of place, position, or state. Put this in the chat. A change of place, position, or state. And when we talk about state, we're talking about a particular condition that someone or something is in at a specific time. Okay. Now, let's break this down. And I got more. I'm still on state. Okay. Because you can see movement in your God ordained love story. Your story, your God ordained marriage promise can be in a state where it looked dead. But when you begin to partner with God, when you begin to let go of the prodigal, when you begin to get on your prayer post and you start fasting and you speaking in tongues and you shifting your time, you a watchman now. You on your fourth prayer watch, three to 6 in the morning, right? When you start moving like this, you healing, you growing, you stepping in purpose. You're gonna start seeing movement, a change in your situation. You're gonna start seeing what once looked dead is now coming back to life. Mm-hmm. Okay. But it's gonna require for you to do something different if you want to see this movement in your love story change. I say it all the time. You know, I use the words acceleration. We can speed the love story up. But what I was really saying is, we can see movement happen in our love story when you are doing certain things, okay? When you are applying the spiritual principles, when you are obedient to the Lord, when you are focused on your focus, you can see your love story speed up and turn around for the better. Change. Move also means, I'm going to read it again. It's a change of place, position, or state. It also means change one place of residence or work, and move also means to depart. Okay. Now, we see this all throughout the Bible. All throughout the Bible, God was moving his people. Okay. And I'm gonna highlight a few things. So in the story of Joseph, we know the story. Joseph had a dream. He shared that dreams with his brother and father. The brothers got jealous. His dad, he's looking at him side eye like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know. You talking about this dream, talking about we're gonna be bowing down to you. He's like, I'm your daddy. Right? So his brothers get jealous of him because of the dream. They had to give a dream interpretation because they knew exactly what that dream meant. So they plotted to unalive him, but then they just end up selling him, over to Egypt. Now, that wasn't God's plan for Joseph to go through all of that. It was never in God's plan for Joseph to be attacked because of his dream, be betrayed, rejected, none of these things, okay? But God used that. hmm God used what the enemy meant, or I said a different way. The enemy caused Joseph to move. The enemy, I need you to hear me by the Spirit. In this process, sometimes you can move, you can relocate, and you think it's God when it's really the enemy behind the scene pushing you in that direction where you are relocating at, and you don't know it's the enemy until you get to the place, right? You don't know that that's the enemy who's pushing you into this trap. That's what it is. It's a trap, right? It's a place where they push you to trap you, and attack you, and ultimately try to destroy you, right? But we see the same thing happen in Joseph's life. His brother pushed him over into Egypt, but he first landed in his master's house. I can't think of his name. He landed in the man's house, right? But God allowed it. God said, okay, all right. This wasn't the plan, but I'm gonna go ahead and allow the enemy to do this to my son Joseph, right? And so we see God's favor. God was with Joseph everywhere he went. He went from that house to the prison or the pit, whichever one you want to call it, because that man's wife lied on him. Again, that was not in God's plan for Joseph to end up in prison. That's where the enemy pushed Joseph. Okay. That's where the enemy pushed Joseph, okay? But God said, I'm gonna work this out in your favor. That's where he allowed the cupbearer and the other man to be in prison with Joseph. And Joseph doing what he do, he down there interpreting dreams. He's showing the gift, not knowing the dream he just interpreted is one of his destiny helpers, and this is going to be the man who's going to recommend Joseph to Pharaoh, who's going to come and get him out of prison. Okay, so we see, I like the joke on here, y'all. um It's not about, okay, so let me answer this right here, okay? Because I got a lot of people who say this. What if you don't want to move or relocate? God is your father, okay, and you are his son, okay, or daughter. So what God is trying to get through to us is when God say go, you supposed to go, right? Now, if you don't want to move or you don't want to relocate, cool. You have to understand if the promise, let me say this, your God-ordained marriage promise, your purpose and calling, you are called to a certain location. Okay. And so let's say you're called, just use some example. Let's say you're called to Texas, right? Let's say that's where God won't want your purpose to be birthed in Texas, but you like, in your mind, you like, well, I'm gonna stay in Michigan. I don't want to move to Texas. So you stand in Michigan because of your own reason. Well, because God is the one who set it up this way and he need the purpose over in Texas, but you are glued to Michigan, you're just going to stay on that level. Your life would never improve or get better because the blessing is over in Texas. You see that? So that's why I said yesterday, you all will quickly learn in this process. I'm learning in this process to not to get attached to anything. I love where I live. I don't tell people where I live, but I love the state, this new state I live, right? But I'm not going to get attached to it because God might tell me to go somewhere else. You see? So it's not always what if I don't want to move or relocate. No, your job is to be seeking out and asking God. I'm using that as an example. You want to ask God or get clarity around where, you know, um, where is my life, my purpose, my marriage, where is it assigned to? That's what you want to, be seeking God for, to get that clarification. When God tell you you're called to this particular state, you called to this country, then and he give you, he help you to get the understanding behind it, then now you know why he's calling you to move. Okay. He said, I'd rather move to Florida. So just everyone just know that, okay? He's not just having you to move just to go get married. You're called to wherever he's telling you to move to. And again, early on in this process, if you feel like God is calling you to move, make sure that's God because that could be the enemy manipulating things. I'm gonna give y'all an example. It's a lot of false prophets on YouTube that's giving these false prophetic words and they telling y'all, God said move, and y'all packing up and y'all moving when God ain't saying nothing. That's a false prophet who's been looking in your life and they want you to move so that they can get you out of your comfort zone, get you in the unknown land where they can now start to attack you. So you have to make sure when you receiving these words, you taking it back to God, you knowing this is what God said about my life, this is God speaking to you. And you're not just taking a word because you heard your favorite prophet or false prophet, don't know it's a false prophet. You heard this favorite person say it, and now you listening to them versus listening to God. Okay. Now let's get back to this. So, I was talking about Joseph. So yeah, so Joseph, we see this move happen. It started off with the enemy moving Joseph first. Okay. But we see how God stepped in there and he used what the enemy meant for evil. He turned it around and it worked out in Joseph's favor. Yes, Joseph was always called to Egypt, but God didn't want him to go through prison and being betrayed and stuff. He didn't want him to go through all of that, but God used it. He said, all right, I'll use it for your development. I'll use it because Joseph, you called to leadership, you called to management, right? He like, I'm about to put you over the whole, this whole land. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you manage the prison. He used it. Okay. Another story. The other Joseph, the one who married Mary, right? We got Joseph. So when you read, I think it's Matthew chapter, it's either chapter 1 or 2 in the book of Matthew. When baby Jesus is born, the king at that time, he's putting out a um he alerted people, he was trying to figure out where was, Jesus at. He was acting like he wanted to go and worship the baby, but he was really on assignment to try to kill Jesus. So we read how the Lord warned Joseph in the dream and told him to get the baby and get Mary and take Mary and y'all go, because I'm just paraphrasing. He was like, because basically the king is looking for him to kill him. And so Joseph got up and they left that night. Okay. Joseph didn't ask no question. He didn't say, God, give me confirmation. He got up and left. Okay. Sometimes we just need quick obedience. So we see that move take place right there. So in this case, this was a protection move. Okay. So God will have you to move for protection purposes. We can't see when the enemy is coming for us. Only God can see that. Okay. So in this, it's the case in my situation. God told me last month, move. I'm sitting up here trying to get my things. I'm trying to take it to the store. It seemed like God got louder. He was like, leave it, move, because I can't see what God can see. So that was a protection move. Okay. So sometimes God will have you to move. It's for protection purposes. And when the enemy has passed away, or when the enemy is gone, or if they surrender, then God will call you back. Now, with the story of Abraham, okay, we see God told Abraham, leave your father's household, um, your family, your people, and go to the land that I'm going to show you, right? So Abraham had to leave if he wanted to step into the blessing that was on his life. Okay. He had to go to the place that God was highlighting to him. If he would have stayed in his father's household, um, I don't really believe that, his name would have been made great. Okay. Because the blessing was connected to his location where God was telling him to go to. Okay. Esther, let's talk about the story of Esther. We see God doing a movement with Esther, but in this case, we see a move, a change of position. Esther go from orphan to queen, or orphan to wife. Okay? So we see the change of position. And again, while you're standing for your love story, the move is not always a relocation. It could be, but it's not always God moving, telling you to leave your location. God can be moving you into a different position. Okay. And before you see that position, before you come into that position in the physical, God is going to, He's going to elevate your position in the spirit realm first. Okay. Let's take a look at this in Deuteronomy 28, verse 1. This is up under blessings for obedience. It say, if you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commands I give you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations on earth. You hear that? So this is blessings for obedience. So what he's saying right here, it say, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations on earth. This promotion is going to take place spiritually first. Then you will see it manifest physically in your life. Okay. So Esther was doing all the right things. And we see how her position changed. She went from orphan to wife. She went from unknown to known. She's the queen now. Okay. Same thing with Ruth. Ruth went from being a widow to a wife. We see change of position. Okay. So again, when you hearing these words, when you hearing prophetic words, or if God is speaking to you through dream and vision, and let's say he just highlight the word move, it's not always a relocation. He can be trying to communicate to you, I'm about to change your position, or I'm moving you for protection purposes. Or he can be speaking to you, I'm about to send you back because that's where your promise is at. That's where you were originally called to. But I had to, I had to move you out of harm's way. Okay. And again, we see this happening with David and Saul, or Saul and David, the change in position. Okay. Saul took over not Saul. David took over Saul's position because Saul was disobedient to the Lord. Okay. And then um remember I said one of the meaning for that for move means to make progress or develop in a particular manner or direction, right? So right here in Luke chapter 2 verse 52, it say, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. Okay, so we see how Jesus is elevating, he's making progress. Okay, so again, this move can be you growing, um your rank is increasing in the spirit realm, or you growing in wisdom, you growing in favor. Okay, and so that is it. That's what I wanted to show you. Okay. Just know, and then no, it's not. That's not it. I got one more. And move also mean a change of place, position, or state, right? State. We're talking about the condition that someone or something is in. Okay. And so let's go over here to I'm not going to read this whole thing, but in Mark chapter 5, it's talking about the man who was possessed by the legion of demons, right? So when you read the story, the demons, they began to ask Jesus, like, did you come to torment us before our time? And Jesus was like, what's your name? And they said legion, for we are many, right? And so they began to beg Jesus, to allow them to go into the pigs. He gave them permission to go into the pigs. And here's the thing, because this man was not in his right mind, okay? Because of these, he was possessed by these demons. And so right here in verse 15 in Mark chapter 5, it say, when they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legions of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. You see that? So we see um, a change in this man's condition. He was once out of his mind, okay, because he was demon possessed, but after Jesus rebuked the demons, he's sitting there in his right mind. This should encourage your spirit in knowing that there is hope for your person. Okay. If you're dealing with narcissists or whatever, don't believe all them videos that say there's no hope for a narcissist. All you got to do is go no contact. Okay. You're dealing with demons. Okay. You do need to know how to pray. You do need rank authority if you're going to come up against these demons. But this story with the man being possessed by the legion of demons, it just let us know it's nothing impossible with the Lord. All you gotta do is rebuke them demons out of that person, and you will see this individual restored to their right mind. Okay, so move is on many different levels. Move can be referring to a physical relocation. Move, God can move you to protect you. God can move you because he, doing a new thing in you, or your situation. You will see that movement happen in your love story, or even in yourself, or in your life. Okay, you can see a movement of position. And if you're standing for a God-ordained marriage promise, we already know, okay, the end goal is you're going to go from single to married. That's the end goal. So that movement will take place, okay, if you do not give up. Okay. So that is it, everyone. I want to just come on here and um share that information about move. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Let me highlight this. Creative Nail said, God has said to me that He's moving all distraction and disconnecting him from all attachment. Yes. And because the person has been distracted and connected to the wrong thing, that's one of the things that's influencing him. I think somebody knocking. Wait a minute. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay. Excuse me. Um, yeah, just like your person has been distracted and connected to the wrong thing, that is one of the reasons why your person is in the condition that he's in. So once God disconnect him and remove those distractions out of his life, you're gonna see him now coming back into his right mind. You're gonna see him more focused. You're gonna see him in a better condition and better state of mind. Okay. So yeah. So that is it, everyone. I gotta get ready to go. But like I said, I wanted to come on here and share with you all the different, meanings when we talk about move, because it's not just a physical relocation, okay? And also, like I was saying, go to God and ask God, okay, God, where am I called to? You know, the calling that's on my life, where is it assigned to? Let me know where that's at, Lord. You need to know that so that'll help you to understand why God is telling you to move to this particular place. Okay. All right. So that is it. Excuse me. You all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Take care.